You've learned to want the right things, what makes sense and is defensible, the thing that the people who matter to you would understand without needing it translated. And you've gotten so good at it that somewhere along the way, the quieter wants, those that never passed the test, stopped showing up. Welcome to Daily Power Boost. I'm Shawn Michael. This isn't a podcast about pushing harder or fixing yourself. It's a space to see clearly how your experience is actually being created. Each episode offers a simple shift in understanding, not a tactic, not a hustle, a clearer view of thought, identity, and the patterns you've been living inside. Because when misunderstanding drops, relief rises, energy returns. You move forward with calm, sovereign clarity. This is your Daily Power Boost. Welcome back to Daily Power Boost. Last time, the wrong room. Why intelligent, capable people stay in situations that stopped fitting them. Because leaving requires becoming someone they haven't fully authorized yet. Today, we go to the root of that. Before you can leave the wrong room, you have to be honest about which room you actually want. And that honesty is harder than most people expect. I know someone who spent years building a life that looked exactly right, from every angle that mattered to the people around them. The career and trajectory made sense. Even the relationships did too. All of it coherent, all of it defensible. Quietly, persistently, none of it felt like theirs. It wasn't that they'd been forced into it. At some point early on, they learned to want what was wanted of them, and they'd gotten so good at it that by the time they were deep inside the life it built, they had genuinely lost track of what was underneath. Here's the identity mechanism that creates that. Most people don't suppress what they want consciously. It's more subtle. They pre-edit. Before the want even fully forms, they run it through a filter. Would this make sense to people I respect? Could I explain it? Would it even hold up under scrutiny? Anything that doesn't pass gets quietly set aside before it even gets admitted, even to themselves. So they end up with a life organized around wants that survived the filter rather than wants that were ever genuinely theirs. The distance between those two things, that's where the quiet dissatisfaction lives, the kind that doesn't have an obvious source, and that success doesn't fix. What it looks like when someone finally gets honest about what they actually want. There's usually a flash of something close to embarrassment. The real want often seems smaller, stranger, less impressive than what they'd been pursuing. And then something settles. The defensiveness that came with justifying the approved want, gone. The low-grade performance of being someone who wants the right things, gone. What's left is simpler and more alive than anything that filter ever produced. Decisions that come from that place don't cost the same to hold because they're not being held by willpower or external validation. They're held by something truer, the actual person making them. Your one question for today, not what you're working toward or what's on the plan, what you actually want, the version that hasn't been through the filter yet. If no one whose opinion I value would ever find out, what would I want my life to look like? Sit with what comes up, because the gap between that answer and your current direction, that's not a problem to solve immediately. It's information worth finally having. If you've been building towards something that makes sense to everyone around you, but quietly doesn't feel like yours, That's worth looking at with some precision. Not to blow up what you've built, but to find what's actually worth keeping and what needs to change. That's a conversation we can explore on an identity clarity call. Check the show notes for the link. Next time, when the goal changes, what to do with everything you've built to get here, how to honor the journey without letting it hold you hostage to a destination that no longer fits. With strength and heart, I'm Shawn Michael. Stay close.
Thanks for tuning in to Daily Power Boost. Ignite your potential. Remember, transformation starts with action. So take today's insight, make it your own, and awaken your inner potential. Because remember, greatness begins within. Catch you tomorrow for your next Power Boost.